talking about today, dude? I got energy. I'm not coughing. I'm excited.
That's good.
Let's overdo it.
Yeah, you know what? I got an idea.
All right.
Because what we just did was human intelligence discussion.
Was it?
Now let's go into artificial intelligence
Okay.
discussion.
All right.
And it's funny because I really wasn't sure how we were going to do this.
Sure.
So I went and I checked out the one of your genies that you let me use.
That's not been released yet.
Not been released yet.
The interview podcast genie.
The interview podcast genie, which,
Mhm.
by the way, gave me a pretty cool title for
Uh-huh.
what we're going to discuss. And the
Mhm.
Jim and Stu Show title is Entrepreneur's Dream Come True. New to AI driven content marketing? Question mark. Discover tips to get started now.
Oh, excuse me.
That was what was given to me.
I
So
like.
my question for you, Jim,
Mhm.
is what inspired you to create Content Marketing Scripts Elite, and how does it help entrepreneurs?
Well, interestingly enough, Content Marketing Scripts Elite is in the process of being transformed into copyandcontent.ai Elite. We're rebranding everything, combining a whole bunch of stuff, and combining the wizards and the genies and the training and a whole bunch of stuff into a brand new site that is going to launch April 1st. When's it going to launch, Stu?
April 1st.
April 1st. And no, it's not because it's April Fool's Day. So, what inspired me was just for the last 10 years, we've been doing stuff with our wizards, and I have been, I think, doing a very good job with specific tech to be able to help people with push button solutions for creating content, sales copy, and the like. And so we got really good at prompts and understanding structure and all that good stuff. And then about 2 years ago, when AI, specifically GPT-2, came out, I started developing my own large language learning model and spent six figures on it and pulled the plug on it because it just wasn't good enough. But we had laid the groundwork to be able to plug our stuff into AI and specifically GPT when it became uh, mainstream. So about 6 months ago, it became mainstream. And so we started doing some integration beta, letting people in content marketing scripts use what we call genies, because most people are trying to teach you how to program the AI robot. And I realized that's not what normal people like us want to be able to do. They want to use a wizard type setup just to get the freaking result. That's all anybody wants. Nobody wants to know how to make the sausage. They just want to eat Jimmy Dean sausage. So this is how people can eat my sausage without seeing how it's made. You you like that, Nancy? Nancy's in charge of social media. Is always scared I'm going to say something that's going to drive the folks away. But we do what we can. Love you, honey. So that's how we came to be here today. And then I realized, the team and I realized about a month ago that the banner of content marketing scripts really wasn't going to hold what we were capable of doing now in the areas of sales copy and content. So we've been working really hard on this rebrand and figuring out, how to do it. And then Chat GPT came along and really made this type of AI, GPT, specifically GPT AI, made it mainstream. But programming that Chat GPT to try and get it to give you something useful and good is actually hard.
Yeah.
And so that's a good thing for us, because they also just announced that they are going to be offering a pro level service for $42 a month, which basically just gets you unfettered access to the Chat GPT bot. It doesn't get you anything else really. Just, you get to avoid the "we're busy, come back later" sign. Whereas a premium level, the mid level of our service is going to be $49. So for like $7 more, you're going to get all the wizards, all the genies, all the premium genies, and you're going to get training every week, training every month, all kinds of good stuff. So to me, it's like all the stars and the moon are aligning for what we're doing right now. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, well, as with any technology, I have found that the implementation of it and adding it to your normal day is the biggest challenge.
Right.
And it seems like what you've just said is you've kind of answered my next question is what do you think the biggest challenges are for entrepreneurs who are going to try to start using AI?
Yeah.
Is
I'd
that
love to
you?
answer that question. I'd love to answer that question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So anytime you have a tool, it's like you have a finite. Is it okay if I go to the board, Stu?
Why, sure, Jim.
Okay. So when you're trying to do anything, all right, this is how my little camera will zoom in on us. I'm going to come back to this. So let's remind me that I did this. Remind me, rag, okay?
Okay.
But when you're going to do anything, okay, and let's say you're going to write a sales letter or blog post or an email or whatever, okay? You got this mental battery, and that battery is basically a combination of your time, energy, and attention. That's I got a fixed amount of this. And so when you're writing a sales letter, doing some kind of a blog post, email, there's certain it just starts burning up that time, energy, and effort and stuff. And typically with this stuff, it's the first draft. Okay, it's kind of like a rocket ship. That old the old Apollo one. 95% of the weight and mass of the Apollo rocket was used up in the first 12 minutes of launching to the moon just to get out of escape Earth's gravity. And what happens with most people is the majority of their battery is expended on that first draft. And then there's like a little half a line left here to do the what are you doing, dude?
Putting on a sock.
Oh, okay. Well, don't let me get in your way. So this is like hey, you really want to have a conversation with Jim and Stu? This is what we do. He's just change your underwear during the break, okay, or on the podcast. But that's what happens. So in theory, using artificial intelligence, using the genies and stuff, that should replace all of this. So it's like you'll use up a little bit, you get the first draft, and then all of your energy is left over for actually doing the editing and the polishing. That's what we want to have happen. But unfortunately, what happens for most people when you're using an AI robot, where you literally, okay, whether you think about it or not, you're trying to program that AI robot to give you a useful answer. So like with ChatGPT, you got to sit there and try and figure out how to ask it to give you something. So you're still burning up a bunch of your battery trying to get something and then figure out if it's any good or not. And so you're just trading one battery drain for another battery drain, unless you can use a tool like the genies, where I've done all the programming, all the thinking. It's all run through my brain with a unique combination of all the wizard stuff and writing a syndicated newspaper columnist or column, creating all the formulas inside of Copywriting Secrets, all that stuff. I run it through my brain so I can hand it to you and say, look, fill out this form and whack the button. It's going to give you a great first draft. And again, I've left you the majority of your battery to be able to evaluate the stuff. And that brings us back to this. My opinion is that with the advent of AI, our job is less, this might not be the best word, rage, but this is one I could think of. Our job is less about content creation and more about content curation. That means instead of us expending all of our energy on trying to create the content to put it out there, we can use a combination of our own noodle and tools to be able to create the content in a snap. And then our job is to use our battery to curate that content. And curating that content means making sure that content is relevant to our avatar, to our target audience. By the way, guys, this is cutting edge stuff. This is like real bleeding edge thought stuff that I just want you to point out that this is some really cool stuff that other people 6 months from now are going to wish they had seen. Okay. Our job is to make sure it's relevant to our avatar, that the content is going to help them accomplish their purpose as well as us. It's actually good, which means we need to edit stuff. So we need to work on our editing skills in order to be able to curate content that our target audience is interested in. Because do you think there's going to be more or less content coming our way, folks? In the comments, do you think there's going to be more or less content coming our way? I know there's going to be more. So if there's more content coming, because it's easy for any chucklehead with $42 in their pocket to go over and sign up for ChatGPT Pro and start whacking that button like a feeder rabbit trying to get a freaking cocaine hit in a 1960s evil science experiment at some national university. There's more content coming, which means we got to make sure the content we put out is relevant, that it accomplishes their purpose, that it's good, and we actually edit it and put some soul into it. So that's my answer to that. What do you think of that, Stu?
Man,
I've been thinking a lot about this.
no, this is really, really thorough.
Well, thank
I
you.
like that. Well, tell me this:
Mhm.
what do you see are any risks of using AI? Like, there are going to be a lot of people that are just like don't want to use it for maybe they feel it's an ethical reason, or there's AI. You have access to these robots that are going to kill us all.
I like the Terminator. That's what I love that line you said, since when did the Russians become our friends? Like since when are we buddies with communists? It's like, and you think about, you and I have very similar experience. I mean, some of our favorite movies are the Rocky movies, and grew up going to the movie theater to see Terminator and stuff like that. When you like Terminator, right?
Oh
Remember when
yeah.
Terminator
Oh
came
yeah.
out? Remember those black Nike high tops, the black ones with the white swoosh that
Sure.
the guy put on? I had a pair of those with the strap around him. I had to have a pair of those Nikes, man. Back 1984. I was a junior in high school. So when did robots become our friend? Because in all the movies, all the really good movies, they're evil as hell.
Yeah, good point.
So the risks of AI robots specifically. Okay, number one, they'll make you lazy. If you stop running,
Yeah.
you're going to get out of shape pretty quick. As I've demonstrated with my experience with the China virus, okay?
Right.
It takes a while to get back into it. So don't stop running. Don't stop doing cardio. Don't stop thinking, because it's going to make you lazy mentally. Now, does that mean you shouldn't use AI content? No, it means you use it. It's a tool. It's not an end result. So you can use it specifically. The big reason to use it is to get a first draft. Another danger is this stuff does not fact check. Let me give you an example. So I asked a question. We did a demo last Thursday using the the quote wizard, and I'm working on a quote genie, and it's pretty cool. So I asked it for a quote. So I'm still developing it. Um, and I asked it for a quote, and it gave me a quote that was pretty cool, relevant to my audience, but it said unknown. Then I asked it, well, can you tell us about the author? And it said, well, the quote isn't specifically attributed to one person, but it is often attributed to the late American businessman Warren Buffett. And I'm like, well, has anybody told Warren Buffett that AI thinks his ass is dead? Because he's not. And so the fact checking thing, if you combine laziness with fact checking, you could end up really anywhere from looking really stupid to some sort of liability. I'm not an attorney. I don't play one on TV, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, if you get lazy, use stuff as is, don't do any fact checking, you could end up looking really dumb. So you got to know what the heck you're asking this thing to write about or create content about. Otherwise, you could, again, look stupid.
Yeah.
Another risk is that you can sound the same as everybody else, especially if you're using minimal prompts with an AI robot. And what's happening is that you're going to start seeing content that is not human generated getting penalized, like by, and again, this is my opinion, but you're going to start seeing this stuff getting penalized by Google for search engine optimization purposes. Because in a business decision, it is not in Google's best interest to promote content that was created by a partnership between Microsoft and OpenAI. Okay.
Nice.
So number one, number two, just like 20 years ago, people were filling the search engines with crappy content that was generated by really primitive spinners and all kinds of other stuff. It is not in Google's best interest to fill their search results with GPT content. So what you got to have is content that is judged to be human. Now, this is subjective. Now, I will tell you this. This may change, but I will do my damnedest to make sure it doesn't. If there's a tool that was popularized a few weeks ago by this 22-year-old kid, got written up in a bunch of different places. He created this GPT detector. I'm sure there will be tons more GPT detectors coming out. If you put content directly from ChatGPT into this GPT detector thing, it will detect it as being written by a robot or GPT. In the test that my team and I have done, we are consistently able to output content from the genies, and in raw form, it is judged to be human. Why? Because we do a better job than just a straight GPT chat robot. Now, can I guarantee that's going to be the case in every single case? No. But I'm just telling you that the genies can beat the detector right now. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that that stays true in the future. So these are the big risks I see with AI robots. Makes you lazy, fact-check issues, sound the same as everybody else, and ultimately there's going to be a penalty. And same thing with Facebook. You know, at some point, Facebook is going to not want to promote machine-generated content when it can promote content that's got human soul in it, as long as that's going to make them more money. So those are the risks that I see right now.
Yeah, that's really good because I have tried it a few times with some articles,
Hmm.
and the last thing I would want to do is go into that Genie or whatever AI source I'm using. I haven't used any other AI sources, but I'm just saying, you um, is like go in there and like not know what I'm going to write about.
Right.
So you should have an idea. I'm going to write about X, give it a title, come up with a theme, and then let it help you with that first draft. Then after that, you spend your time editing, which you're right, that is so much easier than purely creating. But don't get out of the habit of creating as well.
Right.
This isn't something that you need to do every single day, several times a day when you're putting out information. It's something that I personally like to do when I'm just like, I don't have enough to make it an article yet in my
Right.
head.
But but again, looking at this stuff, okay, and I'm not making a judgment call that it needs to be human created. I don't care whether it's human created or AI created, or I do care that you use the genies. What ultimately matters is what we put right here. I'm worried about the avatar. I'm worried about the customer. I'm worried about the end consumer of the information. The consumer doesn't care
Good point.
how it was created. What they care about, is it relevant to them? Is it going to help them accomplish their purpose? Is it good? And has it been edited so that it actually has the things that make content good? They don't care.
Yeah.
So that's the thing to understand. I'm not making a judgment call, good, bad, or indifferent about AI. I'm creating tools that make it so you can make damn good content and copy using a blend of our wizards and AI and other tech. Okay. So I'm not poo pooing it. What I'm saying though is that just straight AI content out of a chatbot or another AI robot is like the lowest common denominator.
Yes.
And in the pyramid of value, the more you can add to make sure that you're doing more to it. You're not just showing up with a blank sheet cake that you bought at the grocery store and saying, "Happy birthday, little Timmy." It's like, okay, I might have bought the sheet cake, but I'm going to put the frosting on it. I'm going to lovingly write little Timmy's name on it. I'm going to put the candles with his age on it. I'm going to put a sparkler in there. I'm going to put one candle that won't blow out to mess with little Timmy's mind. And then I'm personally going to sing happy birthday to little Timmy as I give him the gift that he asked for. All of a sudden, that common sheet cake has gone from a $10 sheet cake to a lifelong memorable experience for little Timmy because I poured myself into it. But a lot of people are just going to get the sheet cake, throw it on the kitchen table, and go, "Why isn't Timmy jumping up and down and singing my praises as his favorite uncle?" It's just not going to happen. So you got to bring value to the content. But the cool thing is that the tools enable you to get something to add value to a hell of a lot faster than having to compose it from scratch by yourself.
Nice. Hey, Jim, you mentioned the GPT output detector.
Uh-huh.
So I went and Googled it and found
Uh-huh.
one.
Okay.
And there is one called OpenAI detector, HF space. And I just put in the first two paragraphs of the article you sent me about the, reach your fitness goals over 40.
Uh-huh.
And it came back as 99.88% real.
or I should do it.
And
That's great.
I'm gonna put in the third and fourth paragraphs here,
Okay. Cool.
and it came back 99.98% real.
Okay.
So that is
Nice.
0.02. It was 0.12 fake. .02. It is now
0.02.
yeah, it's .02 fake right now.
Whatever. Anyway,
99.98. 99.98 real.
what's up, Kathy? I haven't seen you
So,
in forever. Kathy
just wanted to
says,
share that with you.
thank you, Stu. Kathy, haven't seen you in forever. I hope you're doing great and your husband's doing well. So can you sign up for the beta of your new apps? If you want to contact the help desk, Kathy, because you're an old and dear customer and friend, I'll see what I can do. Hit us up in the help desk. Is your ebook updated for AI? No, not yet. But it will be in the next, if you're talking about 7-day ebook, it will be in the next year or so. We just got a lot of things I got to get done. Cool. So,
hey, real quick, Jim, before we
Stu.
move on,
Okay.
where do you see the future of AI going for what we are doing with our business?
I think two things are going to happen. Okay. Let me get to a blank one. Well, a few things are going to happen. Okay. One, I think we're going to see a situation where we're getting better results. Let me zoom in. So just better results. Okay. More human-like. Okay. Number two, I think you're going to see a lot more integration with images and video. So what I'd love to see, like right now with the genies, I can, write the blocks and stuff and then shoot them into a PowerPoint or a docx file or an HTML file. I can shoot them into these things. But what I'd love to see is, okay, write me a script and then ram it over into this other software and have it make a talking head video that sounds like me and looks like me. Now, that is available now, but it's not integrated. But there's a service, I signed up for it for a while, but then I was like, on the flip side, it's just as easy for me personally to just write the script and record the damn video. At some point, it's like, I can walk myself to the fridge to get the beer. I don't necessarily need the Roomba to come over, pick me. It'd take longer for the Roomba to come pick me up, drive me over to the fridge, open it up, hand me the beer, pop the thing, and let me drink it. I can just walk over and grab the beer. So, but I think there'll be a lot more integration with other tools. That's the biggie that I see. But I also think that the big thing is people figuring out how to put personality and put their persona into everything. It's like, this is going to be the big thing. It's like, I got the Jim persona, you got the Stu persona. That's going to be so important, building that personal brand, building that persona, and really just being a curator. Like you're going to become a filter for the people who want to follow you. And it's not a fully formed idea, but it's like you're going to be the leader, the filter, the judge, jury, editor, all that stuff on the avalanche of stuff that's coming, so that you can, and people will follow you because of that. So you need to be able to use the tools to be able to help people get results, because there's an avalanche coming. So that's what I see. What do you see? Uh-oh. Did I lose him? Can you guys still hear him?
That is my
Okay.
fault. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Hi, Nancy.
There was
Okay.
some background noise in my house that
Hi,
I
Parker.
tried to delete, and I
Tanya asked a really good
deleted myself.
question. Tanya just asked a really good question. What is AI? Can I take 60 seconds and
No, go ahead.
explain that?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's two types of AI that everybody's talking about, okay? And it's important. How many types?
Two types of artificial intelligence. What are those, Jim?
There's two types, and you need to understand the difference. Okay. There's something called general artificial intelligence, and then there's GPT AI. And GPT stands for, and I know what it is. It's general something transformer, okay? Or it's look up what GPT stands for, Stu. It's something something transformer.
Okay.
The GPT, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It was something else. There's a lot of GPTs out
Just
there.
put GPT AI
Yeah.
DEF and it'll tell you. Okay, so GPT AI is not actually artificial intelligence in the way that you think of it. It is a mimic. It is a parrot. It is virtually a parrot that has access to a database containing billions of documents, and instead of just repeating back Polly want a cracker or Stu Smith is buff or whatever you train the parrot to say, the parrot knows when you say Polly want a cracker, the parrot has heard all these billions of things, and then it'll say something like Polly want a cracker because it's okay for him to eat carbs. He's not worried about, I mean, it just predicts in this situation with these words, what would a human typically want to see or hear? That's literally what it does. It's just such a giant data set that it can predict based on the stuff that you're asking it. Honest to God, that's how it works. As opposed to general AI, which if you ever saw the movie 2001, remember HAL?
Oh yeah.
From 2001? That's where, based on a set of data, the artificial intelligence, the computer, the cloud being, is able to make decisions based on the data set that it has absorbed and observed. But it's only as good as the data set that it has, but then at some point it is able to learn. So as it gets new data, it learns. This is the one that they're hoping will be able to simulate human intelligence. It is not there yet.
Yeah.
However, it is coming. And specifically, the areas that they are expecting to start using this first are in the areas of finance and health. This should scare the living shit out of every one of you. Because I don't want some robot making financial decisions that can affect me or the world, and I sure don't want some artificial intelligence making final health decisions for me. And the problem is people will say, oh, well, it's just going to, based on the data set, it's going to draw conclusions and make decisions, but ultimately it's the people that are going to decide whether they're going to execute what the artificial intelligence has decided. Let's go back to an earlier slide. What is one of the big dangers of artificial intelligence? Lazy. You can't tell me that an overworked doctor who's being told what to do by a penny pinching insurance company isn't going to just rely on the decision made by the artificial intelligence when it's easier to do that, check a box, call it done, and move on to the next file. You can't tell me they're not going to do that.
Yeah, that is human. That is purely human.
So, and the problem is, and again, I'm not going to get all metaphysical. This is not a religious thing or anything like that. The biggest problem with general AI is that it has no soul. There's no soul. There's no guiding principle. There's no it's all artificial. It's in the name. It's, as my buddy Sarah says, it's on the tin, as they say. It's artificial. It's not real. And without a soul, what's the point of being a person or a living sentient being? because I personally believe my little doggies have souls and they'll be in heaven with me. But a living being can have a soul. A computer can have a soul. Therefore, it cannot make a moral or other type of judgment. So that's the problem with this. And it will cause people to rely on something outside of themselves. And I'll sum this up in the second Harry Potter book. I'll paraphrase. Dumbledore says to Harry, never trust anything that thinks that you can't see where it keeps its brain. All right. So that's the thing. Maybe I butchered that, but that's the thing. So that's what is AI. That's AI, the two types of AI. So there you go. Generative pre-trained transformer is a text generation deep learning model trained on data available on the internet. Yeah. Generative pre-trained transformer.
And it can be garbage in, garbage out, just like old school computing.
Dude, it's going to give you an answer. That's the one thing I'll give you on any. You ask some AI robot or anything else a question, by golly, it is going to give you an answer. So.
Yes, it will give you an answer. We just can't be lazy to.
Well, you got to know whether the answer's any good or not.
Distinguish between the right, wrong, or other options. Yeah. So, Jim, we've kind of taken the Jim and Stu show and blended it into the podcast.
Oh, the Jim and Stu show and the podcast had a dumpster baby today? I'm excited.
We did. And so podcast 185's title is Revolutionize Your Content Marketing with AI. Discover the benefits and risks now.
Well, that's what we've been talking about.
Let's
continue our conversation.
Let's just, at the end of this, we'll just do a podcast intro, and then I will pull it out and put it into the front, and we'll send it out to the peeps.
Look at me. Look at you. Look at us.
Yes.
Kathy asked a good question. She says, are your genies a general AI app? No, it's anything that's making content and copy is GPT. There really are no general AI apps out there. There's people that have general AI with very, very specific applications, kind of like the Deep Blue learning computer that beat Gary Kasparov in chess and stuff like that, but not for the general public.
I saw an interesting movie yesterday because I was in the mode of researching AI for this show, and saw one on Netflix called Young E. It's a Korean show. Jung.
Oh, dude, I want to watch that. Terry doesn't want to watch it. Is it any good?
It's cool because they're trying to create combat AI.
Okay.
And they're going up against these robots. It's very Terminator-ish.
Right.
But what they did is they basically copied a hero's brain. The hero died, and they're trying to put it into all these AI robots to be that hero and win the war.
Okay.
So it's very interesting how they do that. And, it's funny because they have these levels, right? Like for level A, you transfer your brain into this robot, and you have all the rights of a normal citizen. Then there's plan B, where you have all the rights of the normal citizen, but your brain is also shared with the company that makes it, and it also has rights to your brain.
That movie looked like RoboCop and Terminator had a dumpster baby movie.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that your intellectual property could be licensed to a company,
to the company that makes
in exchange for a robot body.
Yeah, depending on which part of the funnel that you decided to get off on.
Okay.
Right. And there's part C where you have no human rights whatsoever. The company owns you, and that's just the way it is.
That sounds like Amazon.
Yeah.
Prime.
So you have 3 different levels of being an AI human.
Okay.
So anyway, it was kind of interesting. Bit of ethical issues in there, but also some good fight scenes if you like
Sweet.
that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, I like that.
yeah.
Um, Robert gave me something new that I did not know, talking about the chess thing. He says that's actually narrow AI. So I gotta do a little more research. That's not general AI, because general AI is basically would be reaching the level of human
Yes.
equivalency.
Yes.
So I need to thank you for that. I will add that to my research list and figure that stuff out. Kathy also asks a really good question. She says, "Can you protect your intellectual property from GPT?" Pretty much no. If it's out on the internet, that GPT is just going through and crunching and munching its way through everything it finds on the web. But the thing is, it's not going to reproduce what you put on the web verbatim. It's learning from the language patterns that you put out there and adding it to its database of language patterns. So that's why, when some stuff comes out, even from the genies, it sounds so natural. It sounds so good, especially from the genies. Um, a lot of times I'll run it through Copyscape for 5 cents just to make sure, just to make myself feel better. And it's not like 1 in 20 will it turn up anything that's even just a few words in a row that match something else. So the interesting thing is that it's not plagiarism. It's the same way that in high school, if you think about any type of education that you've ever had, in English class or history or anything like that, first thing they did was they taught you a framework. So they would spend a semester teaching you a framework for a term paper or a 500 word essay or any of that stuff. And so they teach you the framework, then they give you some examples, and then they set you loose to go do your own research. And you got to take your research and put it in your own brain, apply the framework to it, and then write a paper that some bitter person who's mad they have to grade your paper is going to give you a letter grade that's going to dictate your future existence and college admission. And so you learned by reading. And that's one of the best ways. It's like, that's why really, really smart people read a lot. Why? Because reading is how you learn stuff. You learn patterns and that type of stuff. If you want to write great copy, you got to read great copy. If you want to write great articles, you got to read great articles. So what this GPT thing is doing is it's not only absorbing content, but it's absorbing patterns. And so when you tell it, hey, Jeannie, make me a blog post about this and give it these other parameters and stuff, it's actually able to come up with something that makes sense, because it's learned on two levels. It's learned about patterns, but it's also learned that when somebody asks for this type of blueprint on this topic, this is what it looks like. So then it generates something not based on a specific thing, but basically based on everything it's ever absorbed on that. So it's not including your stuff in its database from the standpoint of it's going to spit it back out. It's including it in its database as it has learned from the pattern, but it's not going to spit back out verbatim what you did. So putting a copyright on it isn't going to do you any good.
Hmm.
So anyway, there's a lot of stuff coming, and you gotta learn how to think and judge for yourself. One of the success principles that I've learned from Dan Kennedy and a lot of other people is that if you want to be a success, look where everybody's going, poke your head up like the meerkat, turn 180 degrees and start going that way. Because the way that the mob is going is the wrong way. You're
Yes.
either too late or it's wrong. And so a lot of, at least from my experience, what is out there right now with AI is it is the summary, the culmination, the amalgamation of the popular consciousness. And so even in stock market and other stuff like that, it's kind of looking at what everybody's doing. So to a degree, it's smart to know what everybody's doing, but if everybody's doing it, there's not really, nobody's keeping an eye out for innovation, for disruption, for any of that stuff, because this is pretty much just the popular consciousness mob of lemmings, usually heading for a cliff.
Yeah. Well,
So,
remember when we first discussed this, Jim, together on this on one of these episodes where we just mentioned that, look, don't be freaked out by it. It's just another tool
right,
that you put in your backpack. It is a useful tool that will make content marketing easier for you, so you can have more time actually doing other things in your business. But it is not a rule changer. It is not a game changer in a
right,
sense that everything that you've learned up to this point still matters.
right.
Right? Running a business is not going to change because of AI.
Yes.
Yeah, this is just another tool for helping you be creative in a way that will just save time.
And it's putting an emphasis on additional skills that you are probably have not worked on, like your editing, curation, polishing skills. Now this gives you a chance to really, 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 really add value. That's how
Yeah.
you're going to make money. That's how you've always made money, is adding value.
Right. Adding
Now,
value and good language that makes
right,
people want to buy.
exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway,
That's
there you
all I
go.
have, Jim.
That's all I've got, Stu. I think we've done our job. So I would encourage everybody, if you would like to learn more about creating amazing sales copy, whether yourself or using tools, or if you want to create amazing content, you can go to copywritingsecrets.com and grab my book, or you can jump on the early bird. We are officially announcing the early bird list for copyandcontent.ai. You can go to copyandcontent.ai and you can jump on the early bird list, and we will keep you updated on the launch of the new site. And Stu, if peeps want to get in good shape so they have lots of energy for doing all the amazing things we've talked about, where should they go and what should they do?
They can go to Stu Smith Fitness and see how I use AI in my content marketing.
There you go. Stu's like my ultimate guinea pig. Yeah, I'm like, hey Stu, I got this new genie. Give it out. He's like, oh, hey man, I did it and posted it. And it's amazing, and look what the results I got. I'm like, God bless Stu. So, all right, cool. And by the way, that's StuSmithFitness.com.
Yes.
We,
Thank you.
have
It's
lots
not
of things it could end with.
It's not .ai yet.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be.
Well, if we came up with a really cool AI thing that would write
AI
workouts for
that
people,
would
it'd be kind of cool.
interesting. Yeah.
There you
We'll
go.
see.
All right, cool. All right, everybody, take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.